It is a pleasure to be speaking with Dr. Lorraine Olivero-Brodeur. And, you know, I've gotten to know you over the last few weeks, and we have a similar background. You've been in academic medicine. You're Ivy League trained at Columbia University. You then went on and got a doctorate in nursing practice, which is an overwhelming amount of education. And then you've also told me you've been in clinical practice for 25 years. Tell me a little bit about your traditional medical training background. And then we want to get in. You're one of our thought leaders on integrative methods of healing. And I want to get that after we talk about your original training. It's really a pleasure to have you.
Sure, thank you. Thank you for letting me be here. My gosh, it's a pleasure. It's an honor. Yeah, you know, I've for the last 25 years, I've been living both worlds, if you would, the holistic world and the Western medicine world. I'm trained as a primary care, DNP, a doctor of nursing practice. I've been doing that for 25 years, and I've also been in the holistic world, practicing more like functional medicine, but what we call aquarium medicine.
Well, let's start with the traditional medicine and how, like, what your background there was and what your day-to-day practice is, you know, because we call it practice and we call them pay. And then I want to contrast that with your energy healing and aquarium medicine.
Okay, well, pretty much, well, there's 6 stages for the most part of disease in the Ayurvedic traditions. And when you see someone in Western medicine, in my primary care practice, you're at stage 5 for the most part. So here, you know, it's primary care. Anything can walk in the door, colds, you know, pneumonia, autoimmune disease, anxiety, depression, anything can come through.
Diabetes, all the chronic
Anything.
diseases of American
And
life.
when we live in a chronic disease society, we truly do. I mean, everyone's stressed, everyone's inflamed, and traditionally we give you the pill and the medication and hope that it works. And really, it works at times, but for the most part, it's a Band-Aid, right? So I became really frustrated. So I'm seeing all these patients, and I'm giving them these medications. I'm trying to find balance in their life. Of course, I have this alternative part of my life in the sense of nutrition and fitness, and trying to teach them how to eat, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. So I started to Google and say, okay, well, let me look up, you know, Chinese medicine and Tibetan medicine.
Interesting. So basically, in your medical practice, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it kind of frustrated you. You would see people, they were way down the road on disease, and you were just kind of treating the symptoms rather than the cause. Is that accurate?
Well, you try to get the whole picture, right? So that's a nice thing about being a DNP, a doctor of nursing practice. My background is as a nurse, so I come from the world of preventative care. So although we're trying to help them in this larger picture in the sense of nutrition and fitness, and still the medications you would give them to help try to bring balance, but it just didn't seem to be enough. And to me, my patients are like my kids, you know, so it was personal that they weren't able to overcome their stress. They weren't able to overcome their diabetes. They weren't able to overcome their hypertension. They weren't able to overcome their reflux. And in my holistic practice, I have found that a lot of people had inflammation in their gut, and we treated the gut, and indirectly that helped our brain. But I felt like there was something missing. So I started to Google, there has to be something, there has to be some other way. And energy medicine, energy work, I've always been fascinated with since I was a child, actually, and never knew much about it. And there came to a point in my career where I said there has to be a better way, or there has to be a supplemental way. And I found shamanic medicine. And my husband and I went through that training, and it just blew my mind, the world of energy, and how important it is to understand the balance between the energy body, the physical body, the mental body, the spiritual body, and it just brought my holistic practice to another level. And that's when we then developed aquarium medicine.
So let's define a couple of terms there. So Ivy League trained, doctor of nursing practice, traditional medicine all the way. And most people live their entire life that way. But for you, there needed to be something more. You needed to, you could see the failing, not the failings, but the shortcomings of that system. And so then you said something called shamanic. I mean, and a lot of people may not be familiar with that term. Define that for me.
So traditionally, a shaman is a healer. And when you think of shamans in the traditional sense, you think of the shamans from Peru, from the Quiero, where they're using rattles, and some people associate shamanism with ayahuasca and all the...
Ayahuasca is that psychoactive,
Right.
hallucinogen, yeah.
Correct. But we're modern shaman. We don't do that.
Okay,
We don't need to do that. But it was very interesting, you know. So when you look at the history of the shamans, so the shamans have been around over 50,000 years. Okay, so this isn't, they're actually the first doctors. This isn't something that's new. It's something that's we're reawakened to. Okay, and they understood that everything's energy. Your energy, I'm energy. The chair that we sit on is energy, and we have these 7 main funnels of energy called chakras that are formed when a nerve bundle branch and an endocrine gland meet. So whatever's happening around us goes into those funnels of energy, into our central nervous system, into our brain, and we process that event. And if we process it in a healthy way, we're good. But if we process it in an unhealthy way, it owns us. It defines us.
Give us an example. That's
So
a
now
good
stress,
analogy.
so anxiety, right? So someone comes in now, they see me in my Western medicine hat, right?
Right.
And I'm stressed, I'm anxious. I say, okay, well, here, try some Lexapro. Let's see if we can take the edge off. And it helps, but still that underlying anxiety continues.
You're masking the symptoms. Is that a correct analogy?
Yeah, I would say you're putting a Band-Aid on it.
Got it.
You're putting
Okay.
a Band-Aid on it, and it serves to a certain degree, right? But it's not really getting rid of the core problem.
Got it.
So in the shamanic world, really, we're just trackers, and we know. Well, you just have you have a blocked energy field, and so we look, we remove it, and things reverse. And these are things that are not objectively. You can't objectively measure these things. It's a subject, and
Stay there for a second, because you and
Yeah.
I have had multiple conversations. Your training is scientific.
Oh yeah,
You've
I'm
published
a medically published researcher from Columbia. I was a professor at Columbia, absolutely, yes.
a medically published researcher at Columbia University.
Correct.
Okay, Columbia University is not Podunk University, and you know, right?
That's right.
It's not. We know where that is and what
Right.
that's about. And so, so how do you as a scientist explain that?
Okay. So no one questioned this more than me. I have to tell you, it took me a year, at least a year, to get it out of my head.
Out of your head.
Out of my head, in the sense of really believing what was happening was true. Okay? And how do you explain that? So what happens is, again, we're energy. So energy can build up into these chakras, and it can ultimately define you in the sense of how you feel. So for instance, a past event, say, would happen that may have caused anxiety.
Childhood event or whatever.
Yeah,
Loss
so-
of a job, whatever it is.
Something.
Right,
And
life
the
event.
person they just weren't able to transition through that and find the lesson from that. So now that kind of lives in your body, and it causes imbalances within the body that cause dis-ease. So the body's informed first through our energetic body, then into our soul, then our mind, and then our physical body. So a lot of times when we present physically, how many times have you gone to a doctor and you say, you know, I have this physical ailment, and no, we can't find what it is. We don't know where it came from. And that's because 9 times out of 10, it probably doesn't live, it didn't start in the physical body, it started in the energetic body. Okay? And these events, they play with your brain, they play with your mind. You have this story running over and over and over and over again in your mind, that is really become your baseline in life of whether or not you take a step forward or not, right? These limiting beliefs, these past stories, these past events. So with the shamanic work, what we're doing is we're pretty much doing like an energetic detox. We're detoxing you. We're removing not only those past stories that don't define you anymore, but also other people's energy, other people's stuff that have clogged your chakras, okay, that have defined you. And
Give me an example of like where you really made a transition with somebody purely in an energetic way.
so I had a woman come to me with stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and she came twice. She came once where I saw her physically, and then the second session was done over the phone. And the beauty of the shamanic work is I'm actually not doing anything. The person's healing themselves, and they don't even realize it. So they're like this leaf blower, and they're blowing me leaves, and I'm just catching what they're blowing to me, okay? So they're there, they're laying down, music's playing, it's relaxing, and we're just doing our work. She felt better after that first session. I mean, she felt alive, she felt more rejuvenated, she felt balanced, she felt secure within herself, and she felt that love that she had lost for herself. And she really went back to that place of self-love, which was beautiful. A month later, she said, you know what, I feel like I need another session. I don't know why. I said, okay, let's do that. We did it. She went back to her doctors. Her stage 4 cancer is gone. I didn't do it. She did it. And it's about a person stepping in. We have the ability to regrow our bodies. We have the ability to reverse disease. We are our best healer. So for my husband and I in Aquarian medicine, it's about tapping into the inner healer within everybody. Okay, so no one knows your body better than you. So it's about giving you these tools, these lifestyle tools, these shamanic tools mixed with these Vedic tools. And these, I've been studying healing traditions for over 20 years. So there's this beautiful mixture of tools that we teach our patients and our clients to use in everyday life. So that when they come across an event in their life, they can go through it immediately, like where they may have an instance where it would normally aggravate them and upset them. They can just transition through it and say, wait a minute, that's that person's projections that are coming onto me. That's their stuff. It's not mine.
Right.
And they stay in that place of their truth. So it's about mastering the mind. It's about, and how do we do this? We do this all through different ways. We do this with food, yeah.
Yeah, so let me just, so obviously you and I had this conversation previously, that's an N of 1 study, just one person, and you would never make the claim that you could cure pancreatic cancer. You can't.
Never.
And what you are saying, though, is that the body has the ability to heal itself. And another thing I'm hearing here towards the end is that you can use these practices on a preventive basis. You can handle your life better. You're talking about people, once they become aware of their energy and how energy gets blocked, they can be more preemptive,
100%. That's
Beautiful.
the goal. It's all about prevention, right? It's about prevention. I mean, when we have disease, we can reverse it to a certain degree by lifestyle changes and the foods that we eat and how we think and which are all tools within Aquarian medicine, but we neglected the energetic body. And that's where the shamanic work has been so beautiful and that we were taught in our training. And we were trained with, my mentor is Dr. Olivero-Brodeur, who's written many books on shamanic work, and he's quite fascinating himself. So we're so thankful for our training, but it's something that we can't objectively measure it.
Right.
And it's different for every person. And it's not one of these things like, a person needs like 4 sessions or 5 sessions. No, they need 1 session. It's like when they're called to do it.
Right.
Because it has nothing to do with us. It has everything to do with the person. They're doing their own healing. We're just a vessel.
Got it. So, beautiful. So, it's really fascinating. I mean, you have such a unique background. You're, again, that whole doctor of nursing practice, where you're seeing the front lines of primary care, chronic disease on a day-to-day basis. And what you're able to do is you're able to add into these, I would call them integrative practices. I mean, it's really such a unique combination. And yeah, so you're really a thought leader in this integrative medicine and practice. And I can't even thank you enough for being here. I can't thank you enough for being a part of this, being a thought leader with us, and we hope that you'll come back for another discussion with us.
Oh, I would gladly do that. Thank you so much.
Doctor,
It's a pleasure.
great.
Thank you.
Thanks.